Hello, everyone. Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Tuesday. I hope the week is going well, whether you're watching or listening to this around the world. As always, thank you very much for joining me. A little bit different today for the morning show. As you can see, I'm joined by James Benge of CBS Sports, which means slightly different Inside Arsenal Extra Time this week. Not an afternoon showing, but a morning showing because timings haven't quite worked out this week. So needs must. How you doing, James? Good to see you this sunny morning.
Yeah, good to see you. Call up to the big leagues for me. And
I know.
We're all making the most of the sun, aren't we, Charles?
Yeah, by being stuck inside, talking to each other.
I know. Right, we'll
I can see your beard
play.
glistening in the morning sunshine, mate.
I am. I know that we got the viewers gave us rave reviews for my green office, but unfortunately, it is too sunny in there, and I don't want them to sort of see me like squinting like I've been flashbanged. So we're sort of hoping, and from the looks of it, the sun over here is about to drift behind some autumn trees. So you're getting this little dappled effect on me.
Live weather updates on Inside Arsenal Extra Time. Hey,
There's not much Arsenal to talk about.
James. We give them everything on this show.
There's not much Arsenal, is there?
Not at the moment. Not at the moment. Well, we're recording this before Mikel Arteta's press conference ahead of the game against Brighton tomorrow in the League Cup. That press conference is going to be held a little bit later on today. We'll get the latest updates from him. Probably on injuries because there was quite a few of them from the game at the weekend. The one downside from the win against Brighton. You were in the press box for that game, mate. Did you? I was going to say, did you enjoy it? Well, what did you think of the game then? Go on.
I have to say, I thought it was the first 1-0 of the season where I actually was not thinking, there's a rewrite coming here. There's a late goal coming here. I know it's totally natural to feel that way. But like when you need ultra edge to work out if Crystal Palace have had a shot on target or if David Raya caught the ball before Eddie Nketiah got his head on it, I think you just get to the stage where you trust that Arsenal's defence is going to shut anyone down. And like Palace are one of the best attacks in the league, and Arsenal just long-armed them for into that entire game. So I thought it was relatively comfortable. And I was, in those final minutes, I was like, I've got a good idea for my piece. It's all about the little details. So I was just obsessively watching for little details. My favorite was, in about the 95th minute, the ball goes a few minutes earlier. Nketiah had like swept the ball back into play to stop Palace taking a quick throw. As sort of 95th minute, Lerma is sort of limbering up, and just out of the west stand of the Emirates, a second ball comes flying, and Palace have to wait to take their long throw. And when I saw that, and I realised the Emirates was helping in the defence, I was like, yeah, this is 3 points in the bag.
Okay, so for someone who is much more into stats and finer details than I am, please explain to me how that Eddie Nketiah shot, in inverted commas, goes down as a shot on target. I watched it again this morning. I was talking to Sam and Simon about it on our WhatsApp group, and I don't see it. I don't see how that can be a shot on target, and it doesn't bother me. It shouldn't bother me, but it just ruins that no shot on target run that Arsenal have been on. And I can't get my head around it.
So from like a purely practical perspective, even though you will often see a sort of shot that you go, I think that was just going wide, just to make things a little bit easier from an analytics, from a tracking perspective, if a goalkeeper saves a shot, it is treated as a shot on target.
But did Eddie get a touch on that?
That is where that, my friend, is where you need to fire up Snicko, and you need to rock and roll it. And I don't know, could we put sound sensors on the ball or something? I don't think he did before David Raya was in possession of the ball. If something had happened that led to a goal there, it would have been VAR'd forever to try and work out who touched that first. But yeah, that's why they would call it a shot on target. But I mean, the expected goal value of it was... It's such a weird moment because it's also like Palace had 0.5 XG and half of it was that Eddie Nketiah header.
That wasn't a header?
There wasn't a header. It's, micro instance, but like the big picture is that's like the best XG creators in the Premier League got half an XG, and most of it was Nketiah trying to flick the ball out of Raya's hands.
Is that what they are? Are they the best XG creators in the league? Are they really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know.
And you saw like little flashes of that. You saw like You know that every season in the Premier League, there's one striker that can bully William Saliba.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
Season it's Jean-Philippe Mateta.
Yeah.
And I thought Sarr had little flashes, and Nketiah off the bench does what Nketiah does off the bench and gets in positions. But yeah, Arsenal just were like that. Held them at, they were Crystal Palace were scrappy D, and Arsenal were well, whoever they were under the mask.
Yeah, I thought they were a better team, Palace, in that first half hour. Arsenal sort of struggled to get going. And then they had that shot, that nice move, Gyökeres around the channel, didn't it? It ended up getting worked out to Trossard on the left. He had the shot that was saved at near post by Henderson. I think that was the first shot they had on or off target all game. And then the Eze goal came quite soon after that. And they, from that point onwards, I thought they got themselves into the game. It was a brilliant goal from Eze, wasn't it? It was a fantastic goal. And it's all the narrative since again, all the analysis since again has been about set piece, blah, 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 blah. It feels like this goal has been totally sort of swept under the carpet, the quality of it. Because, I mean, I wouldn't even count this as a set-piece goal. I know it goes down as a set-piece goal, but this is just a moment of individual brilliance from open play that wins the game for Arsenal against a very, very good team. And yeah, it just feels like no one has really spoken about it. It was a wonderful goal.
Oh, it was brilliant. You give yourself God, I nearly said you give yourself a stiff groin. Maybe you would give yourself a stiff groin just thinking about that. Certainly, though, in one way or the other, I think it's fair to say. It was a phenomenal piece of improvisation. It was a sort of reminder that you buy a player like Eze, and I can't remember if we've had this conversation, but we did a bit, didn't we? Sort of saying like, oh, he's finding it a bit tough. We were saying patience is what's required here, and that's why, because even in an off game, and I thought for those first 40 minutes he was off.
Yeah.
Players like that, though, they have a bad 40 minutes and then they do that and they win you the game. And I'm sure George Graham sort of could see the hallmarks, couldn't he, of one moment of individual brilliance and you just ride the back four to victory. It's too easy to boil this all down to set pieces. And while we're talking about them, everyone sort of says, Jeff Stelling said yesterday, didn't he, this is unsustainable. But what happens with the team that wins the title very often is they keep going. The unsustainable thing keeps going long enough. Right? At this stage, I don't doubt we were saying, and everyone was saying, well, Mo Salah can't be this good. He can't be this good for the whole season. And guess what? He was until Liverpool won the league. Same with Haaland. Same, remember that season City had Gundogan scoring every week. Same, and it'll be the same with Arsenal, but it might happen.
It drives me mad though. Like you talk about Jeff Stelling there, and I've seen the clip. It's impossible, and I'm not hunting them down. I'm not looking at. I'm not trying to. But the algorithm just puts them onto my timeline. And the clip of him saying, "I was like watching paint drying." It's just doing my head in. It's like it just feels like such a one-sided analysis of games and how Arsenal are playing. Like, fine, like the whole set piece thing. If teams didn't sit on the edge of their own penalty area with 10 players behind the ball, Arsenal probably wouldn't get so many set pieces. If they opened up and actually tried to push the ball higher up the pitch, maybe Arsenal wouldn't be down there to win so many set pieces in the game. If teams were braver against Arsenal, maybe games would be a lot more open and Arsenal would score a lot more goals from open play. But unfortunately, Arsenal are coming up against teams who are just sitting so deep. Even Manchester City sat with 10 players behind the ball against Arsenal. That's what they're having to face every single week. The space just isn't there. So it's a struggle. They have to find other ways to win. Last season, they couldn't find other ways to win. These games, last 4 games, they picked up 2 points from 12 last season. This season, they found a way to win every single one of those games, and they've taken 12 points from 12, and they're sitting 4 points clear. That should be what the main focus of all the analysis is. And yet it's just this mundane, boring, set-piece FC stuff every single week. And it's just... I try not to let it get to me, James. I try not to, but it's so hard to ignore. And I don't think it's fair to Arsenal. I don't think it's fair to the team. I don't think it's fair to Arsenal fans as well, because you want to kind of enjoy your season. And yet, certainly if you spend a lot of time on social media, which hopefully a lot of people don't, but kind of we have to, it's our jobs. You see it, you're getting it rammed down your throats by the algorithm, and it just does suck the joy out of it a little bit. And I hate that. I really hate it.
I totally see where you're coming from. And look, what I'd maybe say is it's not up to Arsenal to make it fun for the neutral, in much the same way that it wasn't up to Man City to make it fun for the neutral when people didn't enjoy 800 passes to win a game, but was pretty useful. You know, I didn't always enjoy sort of 75 minutes of Liverpool not really going anywhere and then Salah winning the game. But you know what I enjoy? And to each their own. I even enjoyed it when sort of in the days of Stoke City and Bolton Wanderers. I enjoy the tension of a dangerous team at set pieces standing over a set piece, and I enjoy, you know, especially when you get to be there. The Emirates is now at that stage where there's this sort of little murmur of anticipation. I mean, it's so obvious in the Atleti game, but every time now that Arsenal stand over for a free kick or a corner in a dangerous area, you think something's going to happen here, something fun, something chaotic. You know, I as a neutral, how to phrase this correctly, but it's quite fun and exciting. What's going to happen next? Is Gabriel going to score, or is he going to assault part of the goal frame as he did in the second half? You know, it is dramatic and exciting. And like you say, Arsenal could serve up much more exciting open play football if Palace, Fulham, City would open up and attack them. But it's not like that's Palace. The Palace, Fulham, and City probably shouldn't do that because they get ripped to pieces. And, you know, these teams are quite understandably, I think, gambling that it's like, well, Arsenal are probably more likely to beat us from open play than they are to beat us from a set piece because there's a lot of things that have to go right there. And I mean, I'm intrigued whether we get to a stage where teams just throw their hands up and go, right, we're going to have to try and beat them in open play because if we just sit back and let this happen to us, they will score from one set piece. But, you know, the Arsenal's opposition is making a decision as well. And their decision is, let's hunker down, let's accept the threat of set pieces because we know what Arsenal could do to us in the open field.
No, exactly that. Exactly that. I would love, I mean, what Leeds probably the only team that really, they didn't exactly like go, it wasn't a mad open game, the Leeds game, but they were the one team that it wasn't like you didn't look at it and think there was 11 men in and around the penalty area. They were kind of open at times. They let Arsenal get down the channels for like the Gyökeres goal and all that sort of stuff. And Arsenal scored 5 goals against them. Atletico, for all the talk of Atletico being a really sort of defensive team, they did try and attack at times. They did try to cause Arsenal problems. Arsenal scored 4 goals. So I just feel the way Arsenal being analysed this season is just so one-sided, and it's tough because you don't want to listen to it, but it's very hard to avoid it. And I can understand why fans are so frustrated. We're going to talk about the game tomorrow night now. I think it's really interesting. Well, I've also had a question here from Hagar. I had plenty others as well who's talking about the Brighton game. And Hagar says, how bold does Arteta need to be to rest some and warm up the others? How bold do you actually think he will be? He's hoping for Ethan, Ben White, Miles Norgard, even Max for a stint. So taking on that question, and we were speaking last night on WhatsApp, so we've both chosen the team that we would play. We're going to talk about what we think Mikel would do, but the team that we would play if we were in that grand position of being the Arsenal manager for the day.
We wouldn't last a week.
We definitely wouldn't last a week. So I have got yours first at the moment. So talk me through this. And for those watching on YouTube, you can see the team, but remember the people listening on podcast, James. So talk them through the team as well.
Yeah, so I don't think any surprises in the back 5. Kepa in goal, and then from right to left, Ben White, Christian Mosquera, Piero Hincapié, Marcelo Skelly, all players that are totally reliable and that I'd like to see get more minutes in their legs. You know, maybe not Mosquera, but we know there's sort of question marks over Saliba. I start going a bit rogue further forward. But Christian Norgard at DM, same story. Ethan Nwaneri on the right central midfield, and then Dujak. Now, I want to be very clear here. I will take any warm body that the academy can offer me at left centre mid. Right wing, Max Diamond. Up front, Mikel Merino. I need someone to play up front that isn't Victor Gyökeres. Left wing, Charles Sego Jr. Same thing again. Give me warm bodies from the academy. I am tanking this competition.
Are you really? So you don't care if Arsenal lose? It's no interest in winning this competition?
No. I would very much like to win this competition if I could do that without, until the final, playing any of my senior players. We're in the big leagues now. We don't care about the League Cup. That's my strategy here. That's why I'm getting sacked after a week, because I have. I had probably turned up to the press conference and said, "No, I don't care about this."
So going into the game, there's no obviously the long-term absentees, so no Jesus, no Havertz, no Madueke, no Martin Odegaard. So those players aren't out. Obviously at the weekend, Saliba went off at half time. There was problems for Declan Rice in the second half. He went off. Calafiori went off. Mikel was saying he had an issue afterwards. Gabriel Martinelli went off. Well, he didn't go off, but he limped off after the game, went down the tunnel. And out of all of the injuries, I think that's the one that Arsenal are looking at the most closely from the weekend, Gabriel Martinelli, which would be a real shame if he's out for any significant amount of time because he's had such a good start to the season. Am I missing anyone else?
No, that's your lot.
Is that it? So yeah, obviously lots of issues for Arsenal to deal with. Oh, Bukayo Saka went off as well, didn't he? But that was illness. It was sort of, and then he said didn't want him to get too fatigued, and then that could create a problem. So those are the players that are sort of doubts and out. And ideally, I think if some of those players were fit and healthy, I don't think he would make as many changes as maybe me and you are going to predict that or predicting he's going to make. So my team, I haven't gone quite as rogue as you. I've kept a couple of the first team players in, so I haven't gone for the just bring me an academy kid to stick in the team and give some players a rest. So I've kept Zubimendi and I've kept Trossard in the side. So I've got the same back four as you, I think that is, isn't it? And the goalkeeper, obviously, Kepa coming in. I've got Norgard and Zubimendi playing more as a 2, and I having Ethan playing ahead of him as the number 10 role. Then again, Max, same as you, Max Dowman on the right, Marino up front, because I think Gyökeres definitely does not need to start this game. And then I've stuck with Trossard on the left. I mean, I am worried about Trossard on the left, just because Arsenal at the moment have got no Madueke yet. And as I said, I think that Arsenal are a little bit worried about what's going on with Martinelli at the moment. Hopefully we get good news on it. But I would be a bit worried about starting Trossard because he's going to have to start the weekend, you would think, again. But I'm not sure. I'm not sure they're going to stick a young academy kid on there. I'm not sure it's the right thing to do either. I mean, they're playing a very good Brighton. I want to win this competition. I do. I think this is a horrible draw for Arsenal. It could have been a much nicer one. You know, they're playing a Brighton team who are going to take it very seriously. I think no European football for them. They've had a good start to the competition, scoring 6 goals in the first 2 games.
So they can rotate and put out good players.
Brighton. Yeah, I'm not even sure they'll rotate though. I think they're just going to go. I think they'll go for it. So they'll know that Arsenal are going to make changes. And so I'm not sure 2 academy kids is the way to go in this game. So I'm sticking with Zubimendi. I'd love to give Zubimendi a rest, but I don't see him. If Rice had any sort of doubt with Declan Rice over what happened at the weekend, then he can't play Rice. So I'd play Zubimendi again.
Could you move Lewis Skelly into midfield and Hincapié to left back? And but again, I'm just finding kids from the academy, like someone like
Gabriel. Then, if you're going to do that,
yeah,
and you don't want to do that. I was wondering about Eze on the left and resting Trossard and moving Eze to the left hand side rather than the central role and sticking with Nwaneri in the middle. Maybe that's an option. But yeah, this is the first game this season where even with Arsenal's mega squad, you're looking at it and thinking, they're just a little bit short now because of all the injuries they picked up at the weekend.
It's really brutal. I mean, I'm looking at this right now. The most injuries in the Premier League, other than Tottenham, 8 players out. That's an awful lot to carry. And I mean, I think to an extent, you almost need to look at that and say 8 players missing. It's lucky Arsenal can name anything like the team that we're looking at. And I think what you've got there actually will probably be the 11. Like, I think that's what Mikel Arteta will land on.
Do you?
Because I mean, with the only one I have a doubt about there is Max Dowman.
I wouldn't be shocked if Saka starts. Yeah. I would not be shocked at all if Saka starts.
That's where I have that, like you. I mean, you want to keep the momentum going. You want to build that winning habit. You don't. I think if you're the actual manager of a football club, you don't want to be seen to be chucking trophies away, to just discard them, especially when you've not won any and you know what the conversation around you will be if you're just not bothering with the League Cup. But there is such an opening there, and I think you really don't want to go to Burnley, a Burnley side that are improving, and you don't want to go there carrying another 1 or 2 injuries to really key players. So, I mean, I would, if I was in a position to influence Arteta, I would really be saying, look, I know you need to do some of this, but the absolute stars, the real load-bearing pieces, so Zubamendi and Saka, just keep them on the bench. Just see if you might be able to get away without using them, and then go from there. Gabriel as well, but I fear that that's not what Arteta will think.
Yeah, I mean, there's no extra time, is it? It goes straight to penalties if it's a draw, so you don't have the threat of 120 minutes in some of these legs. Hertzler's had his press conference this morning. I'm just reading some of the quotes now. Noma Toma, he's set to miss out for the game.
That's good news for Ben White.
Good news for Ben White. I was just thinking exactly that. It's weird how players have kryptonite. Another player who's their kryptonite, and Matoma is definitely Ben White's kryptonite. Who else is out? There's then 4 players: Veltman, calf problem, Milner, and Gruder. So it looks like they're missing a few players. Yeah, no, they're unlucky to lose United. Obviously, came at such a bad start, got themselves back into it. That was their first defeat in 6, I think, Brighton. So they're coming into it in quite good form. So, but yeah, Ben White will certainly be happy that there's no Kerem Matoma. Oh, he's such a good player.
But I know what you're saying about you, and as you said, you want to win this. Do you?
I do. I absolutely do want to win it. I think I wouldn't, but it's so hard to say, it could put the Premier League at risk. But it's how do you quantify that? It's would it really? I mean, how many games now? Where are we in the fourth round? Fourth round. So, you got about another 5 games to get to Wembley, or 4 games? Is it? There's 2 legs semi-final, isn't it?
It's that
semi-final. It did take its toll on Arsenal last season.
Yeah,
the Newcastle semi-final killed Arsenal last season, but
yeah.
I do think they've got the squad to be able to deal with that now. I mean, hopefully we're only a couple of weeks away, basically, for a big host of players coming back, really big players coming back as well. So I think if Arsenal can get through this round and get to the next international break before the next one comes around, I think they'll be in a really strong position. And I just don't think, as you said, I don't think Arsenal in a position. I don't think Arteta's in a position to be able to just throw a trophy away. And if they could get, imagine having a trophy tucked under your belts in February.
Yeah.
It would just be so nice. And what it would give to the squad, to the team, to have that sort of celebration, to know that they've got a trophy won, that they can win the trophy going into the big sort of final push of the season. I think it could be huge. And I just think they've got the squad to be able to cope with it. But this is the one where I'm looking at, because of all the injuries now, I think this is potentially going to be the trickiest one of the lot. Now, if you can get through this and you can get a big host of these players back for the next round, and then suddenly you're in that position again of looking at Arsenal's squad and being like, oh my God, they're going to make loads of changes. They're still going to have this fantastic team to put out against whoever Arsenal get in the next round. I feel like this could be the toughest one of the lot.
I mean, every big team is still standing in this. That would be and Wrexham. You know what? I just think I agree with everything you said, but I think I just don't even want to gamble with the idea of another sort of Kai Havertz injury against Newcastle and Gabriel Martinelli injury against Newcastle. It's just not even worth the risk.
But they've added 8 players since then to the squad. 8 players and not lost none.
Yeah.
Basically. Only a couple.
I don't value the competition. I know that maybe this to an extent also just reflects when you've grown up following football and following Arsenal. I'm a metaphorical child of Arsene Wenger. Although, when you're my age, he probably is one of the most stable male figures in your life. And things just don't care. And so
Have you ever seen Arsenal win it?
I've never seen Arsenal win the league.
How old were you in 93?
Well, 3.
Were you? God.
Yeah, so just means
I mean, that's the last time I was there when we beat Sheffield Wednesday when Steve Morris scored. That's the only time I've seen Arsenal win the cup, because the year before, I don't remember us. My first Arsenal memory is seeing us lose a League Cup final to Luton in '88. The year before, we'd won it and beat Liverpool, and Charlie Nicholas scored both goals. I can't remember that game. My dad didn't take me. He went to the game, I didn't. But I remember the Luton game vividly. And then obviously we won it in 93. And then since then, it's just been ridiculous defeats in finals followed by ridiculous defeats. It's been a horrible competition. I think that's why I really want to win it as well, because there's been so much just ridiculousness in it in the years sort of leading up to now.
Hey, anyone that's got an Amazon Prime membership, I did a documentary about Wojciech Szczesny. chatted to folks about that, and there are so many, like being asked to relive the Birmingham game all over again, which wasn't his fault, it was Koscielny's fault. But being asked to relive all that, especially in the last, whenever that was, it has really just reminded me of the absolute pain that a competition you don't care about can still inflict on you if you time it wrongly. So just get it out of my ecosystem. I don't want to see it.
That was the most classic Arsenal way to lose a cup final ever in the peak sort of Bandit years, to lose a cup final like that. I remember I actually laughed. I was at Wembley, I was soaking wet, miserable day, rain. And I actually laughed when I was leaving the stadium. All I could do was laugh at the way we'd managed to lose that final. It was just so ridiculous. And it was classic. It was 2011, I think it was, wasn't it? Yeah, bad times. Right, loads of people have sort of sent in terms of what they want to do. So I'll go through some of these, talking about the Brighton game. Sort of quite a vast difference of opinion when you sort of go through the comments to how people are viewing this game, kind of similar to what me and you were saying here. So CTPNK, when I read that, I just think of CM Punk. Do you even know who CM Punk is?
I am aware of CM Punk. People think I don't know wrestling.
Could well win the title on Saturday, James. The Saturday night main event. He's in the title with Jey Uso.
It's simply not. I'm aware of wrestling. I just know it peaked in the late 90s and will never improve.
Seth Rollins had to vacate the title, so it's Punk versus Jey for the title. So he says Brighton will be a tough test. If Rice is fit, he should start for me. Same with Gabby and Timber. Start Marino and White against Burnley. So that's what he's saying.
Sack this man.
Yoki W says no. The Carabao Cup means nothing. Play Gunnosaurus. I'm pretty sure that's you saying that, James.
Thanks, Jokey.
Have Gunnosaurus up front. Ray says Brighton lineup should basically be resting everyone. It's pretty obvious the boys are starting to get a bit tired from all these intense games. Saka, Rice, Gyökeres look gassed. Zubi hardly had any break at all this season, so they need to sit the game out. Brighton, Burnley, Prague is the easier part of the schedule before the internationals, and then a tough run of fixtures the moment they go back. So he wants to see Kepa, White, Mosquera, and Capier MLS. That's the same back five that we chose, isn't it? Nwaneri, Norgard, he's gone Eze on the left, and then Martinelli. I don't think Martinelli's going to be fit. Marino and Trossard. McCormick AFC says, I really hope Ethan plays well against Brighton when he starts. I think he's been unlucky not to get more minutes since Odegaard's injury, and think a strong showing will help him get more rotation with Eze. It's a big game for Ethan, this, isn't it? It will only be his second start. I think the only start he's had is Port Vale, isn't it?
Yep.
He's obviously had two prolonged games in the Premier League because of Martin Odegaard's early injuries when he came on against Leeds and Forest. They got a good sort of 70 minutes or so in those games, didn't he? But yeah, this will only be his first start at home against a Premier League team. So I mean, it's a big chance for him if he does get the start in the position we both think he probably will, to really sort of try and make an impact against a very good Premier League team.
Yeah, because I think if this goes right for him, the fixture list has sort of landed kindly enough that, I mean, potentially even the Burnley game. I look at a team like Burnley and think a lot of Nwaneri's qualities, that willingness to take a shot, really adding a bit more forward momentum. He's not one that will let possession get bogged down. That could really be useful at Turf Moor. And then certainly afterwards, is it Slavia or is Slavia Prague, not Sparta Prague, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a Prague.
It's not Thomas Rosiecki's Prague, is it?
Which is Sparta Prague. It's Thomas Souček's, not Thomas Rosiecki's.
It's Slavia. We're playing Slavia Prague.
Slavia Prague. I think that, again, prime opportunity for Nwaneri to step into the 11, but he's kind of got to earn that, and I think this is a great opportunity for him to carve out those minutes. We know that most teams at kind of early in the season do what Arteta has done, and as much as possible, you kind of run out your first 11 until they start around this sort of time of the year. They start hitting the buffers a bit. They start needing a break. So now is a time that Nwaneri can step in and sort of say, "Look, give me that spot." I'd be super intrigued about playing him in the front three, maybe on the left of the front three.
Mm-hmm.
There's options. I'd like to see them.
Yeah, I mean, if you don't want to play Trossard this week, in midweek, as sort of resting for the Burnley game, you do have the option of maybe playing Ezra on the left and playing Ethan. Then you can bring Eze back into centre for the middle game. So there is a chance if you do want to rest Trossard for this game, because it's looking hard at the moment. But there are options. Like you said, I mean, we've not ever seen Ethan really play on the left for Arsenal, but he has done it for England. He's done it for England, so
Yeah.
it is a potential option. Right, I've got a couple more here that I just want to bring up. We've got one from Max who says, hopefully Arteta learns from seasons past and puts very little priority on the Carabao Cup this
Thank
season.
you, Max.
We've got too many injuries at the moment to let domestic cup runs sink our Premier and Champions League. My only worry with this, I always go back to that Sporting Lisbon game when we lost Saliba and Tomiyasu. But I suppose I'm sort of contradicting myself here because we lost two really important players that did derail Arsenal's season in that game. But there was no, when they went out of that competition, the Europa League, which was a really good chance for Arsenal to win a trophy that season, when they went out of it, no one cared because it was like all our focus on the Premier League. But then we didn't win the Premier League either. And then suddenly you've gone out of the other competition, you had a really good chance of winning. So, it's not set in stone that you go on and win anything, even if you sort of chuck this one and then you've chucked a trophy away for no reason. That's where my big sort of fear comes from. But anyway, Max continues. He says, I don't want to see a single player starting on Wednesday who started against Palace, except maybe Trossard, but only if Martinelli looks like he'll be fit for Burnley. So Trossard can get a rest at Burnley. So Max's team is Kepa, White, Salmon. The under-21s are playing tonight in the... what's it called? The Football League Trophy or whatever it's called.
Oh, it was the Papa John's.
Yeah, it's the Pizza Cup, whatever it's called. The actual real
always
name.
Be the Papa John's to me.
Yes. So it'll be interesting, Salmon, Dowman, if we see them in that game, then obviously they're not going to be playing tomorrow night. But if they're not in the squad for that game, certainly Salmon, then you'd imagine he's going to be in the squad tomorrow. So Max has gone Kepa, White, Salmon, Mascherek and Capier, Norgard, MLS in midfield, Dowman, Nwaneri, Trossard, Marino. Love the fact that you've captained Trossard there, Max.
That is my big issue with that team.
What, the Trossard's captain?
Ben White should be captain of that team.
I wonder who would be captain of that team.
I'd really like to see Marcellus Skelly captain that team, but I think the correct answer is Ben White, surely.
Ben White, you think, over Trossard?
In a way I couldn't explain. He doesn't feel very captain-y, Ben White, does he?
No, Trossard does though. Yeah. I think Trossard would probably be captain, to be honest, out of that team. I think Max
Marino is the dark horse.
Marino, yeah, that is a dark horse, especially Mikel Arteta. He absolutely loves him.
When we get to a really boring international break, because I've kind of been doing this on Football Manager, I want to rank everyone based on like who I would have captain the team. I'm really obsessed with captaincy. So I want to know who the sort of 9th choice captain should be. Really take it to extremes.
Well, when it comes to Arsenal and injuries, it might actually get down to the point where you need your 9th choice captain. And then Faisal says, Brighton game is just as big. Too many changes may hurt us. Norgard, White, MLS, Marino and Capier need minutes. But most importantly, we need a trophy. And winning early in the season will bring even more hunger. So Faisal's more in my camp and Max is more in your camp for this game.
It's good to know that whatever Mikel Arteta does, some people will call him an idiot.
Yes, exactly. You can never satisfy
never
anyone.
win.
So we've got Mikel's presser coming up a little bit later on today. I mean, injuries, I imagine, are going to be sort of front and centre of that. You think there'll be any more interesting discussion to come from it?
I'm really intrigued to see how I thought he addressed it very well, both in his post-match and pre-match press conference. But the set-piece discourse is going nowhere. And can sort of Arteta cool the conversation a little bit? Can he, you can never answer these topics and end them because, frankly, not everyone that talks about them is sort of caught up with the latest details and watched the press conference. But what can sort of Arteta do to like move the conversation on from this sort of relatively reductive review of Arsenal? Can he, with his press conference, change the narrative a little bit? It's a lot easier said than done because an awful lot of both us and our colleagues, you quite often go there with an idea set that you want Mikel Arteta to talk to you about.
Mm-hmm. Well, Hertzler in his press conference this morning says that Brighton, quote, will be ready for Arsenal set pieces. I think it's going to be a very different Arsenal when it comes to set pieces tomorrow, though. You're not going to have Gabriel charging in at the back post. You're probably not going to have Declan Rice or Bukayo Saka whipping in the deliveries from either side. Yeah. So I would suggest it's not going to be a particularly threatening Arsenal team from set pieces tomorrow. Certainly not the usual threat that they normally carry.
Indeed. So easy win for Brighton then, I suppose, because that's all Arsenal can do.
Well, what a way to end it. What a way to end the
show. People are going to think I'm in that.
Hopefully not. Anyway, it's been a pleasure as always, mate. Thank you, everyone, for watching and for listening. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back to it all over again tomorrow. Take it easy, James.
Bye bye.